I just want to welcome everyone to our 11th episode of Happy Hour Show with David and Chip, and we have a special guest this evening who'll be joining us. And I think both David and Chip are in new locations, so I can see background differences. So I'm going to start with Chip, where are you?
I am in Austin, Texas. So I got chased out of Baja because of a hurricane, and that was 3 weeks ago or so. And then I ended up in San Francisco just as the fires were going. And then I came here to Texas to go see my sons and their two moms in Galveston, Texas. And another hurricane came along. So don't go traveling with me anytime soon. But I live in Austin, Texas part of the time, and you are in my philosopher's cave, which is one of my favorite rooms in the world. So that's where I am. David, where are you?
I am in Park City, Utah.
Again?
For 4 months this time. I sold my place in LA. Boom, gone. And we packed 2 of the cars up, and the plan is here for 4 months, and then we'll see. But I got enough. This time we didn't pack light, we packed heavy, man. Like I'm good for like anywhere on the planet. You want to go? I'm in.
Yeah, good. Well, first of all, let's say welcome. Let's just say welcome to people and say welcome to Happy Hour. I'm doing a little Guinness today. That's my thing. Although Guinness in a bottle is nothing like having a good head of Guinness in a bar. Well, I'm sorry I said it that way, but it is true. You know how they pour Guinness and there's that like head of foam on a Guinness? It's the best head.
Nice
available.
walk back, Chip. That was well done.
Head available. So how about you? You're just doing your water thing, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean,
that's fine.
The strongest thing I do is, espresso in the morning. Other than that, like chemicals, I just put me in the hospital. Can't do it.
So how's the last couple of weeks been for you? So just beyond the travel.
Well, the travel is sort of all encompassing, but it's been fine. This thing happened, I guess yesterday. I'd even forgotten like the Calm, the meditation app people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they interviewed me back in June, so I'm on their app, and I gotta say, I sound really good. But keep in mind when you're listening to it, the first interview was an hour, and then the follow-up was a half hour, so they had like an hour and a half. And it's like a monkey on a typewriter, right? Anybody talking for an hour and a half, you can pull out some stuff where they sound great. But anyway, it does sound really good. And my email box has just been flooded with all these people saying like how helpful I've been to them. And I mean, you can't help but have a good day when that happens, right?
I guess I don't, but when I think of Calm, I don't know if I think of you. Tell me. I think of Fun. I think the people who have an app called Fun should be interviewing you, or Vitality, or Vivid, or any V word, Vagina Monologues. That would be a good one for you too.
Well, so what they got a lot of things going on there, right? There's like how to meditate. They've got Matthew McConaughey reading nighttime stories. But then what they realized was people listen to Calm at 2 times of the day, either first thing in the morning or at night. So they said, okay, let's do a thing in the morning. Like the other person is Susie Orman, right? Not very calm.
Not calm.
Not calm, right? So like all of us in the morning are very sort of like, go, 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 to get people like into their day and motivated. And like, it's like, come on, buddy, you can do this thing.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Comma, like a comma. You're not like period. You're calm. I don't know. All I can say is you're famous. You are.
Only with me and my mom. That's it.
So, well, we have a really famous guy here tonight, don't we? I'm gonna let you introduce him. And he looks a little bit like Matthew McConaughey the way he's dressed today. He looks like that sort of Texan, Studley dude.
Well, this is my friend Rob Angel, and Rob.
That's a terrible name. So Rob Angel is like the name of someone who actually is. It's blasphemous because it makes it sound like he's doing something bad to a spiritual being. He's robbing an angel.
Rob, could you put the glass?
Oh, I never looked at it that way. Thanks, Jeff.
I'm sorry, Rob.
Rob,
Sorry, brother.
Okay, well, listen, so Rob is Mr. Pictionary. In 1985, using a few simple tools, a dictionary, a number 2 pencil, and a yellow legal pad, Rob created the phenomenally successful and iconic board game Pictionary. Putting together the first 1,000 games by hand in his tiny apartment, Rob mastered all the needed business skills, including sales, marketing, and distribution before selling the game to Mattel in 2001. Rob has turned this journey into his first book, Game Changer, the story of Pictionary and how I turned a simple idea into the best-selling board game in the world. This is Rob, and he seems to have a strange fixation with this animal called an aardvark, which I don't know what's up with that. We're going to find out about that.
Anybody else, or is it just me?
It's just you. Tell us about the aardvark.
Oh, it's the crux of the Pictionary story.
Yes.
So it's,
Tell us.
yeah, there's a lot of backstory, but the aardvark is that we don't get out of our own heads. I couldn't get out of my own head when I came up with the idea for Pictionary. So how many have these great ideas? And then all of a sudden it's like, I don't know what to do. I have all these excuses. I'm just a waiter. So I had to get out of my own head. And to do that, I had to break it down, and I had to start with a word list. And the first word, and I'll get more later, but the first word was, you guessed it, aardvark. So I wrote down the word aardvark. And then I wrote a second word and a third word. And that's how Pictionary got started. Not with a great idea, not with this business plan. The word aardvark, that was it.
And then did you start playing this with your friends?
See, you just gave me a little grief. I mean, yeah, I graduated from college, moved in with 3 buddies. And then one night, one of them said, hey, let's play a game of charades on paper. We're going, all right, whatever. So I didn't see it as an opportunity or a business idea or anything else. It was just, all right, let's have fun. But I stayed up playing it late night and the next night and the next night. And that's when it just kind of said, okay, maybe this would make a good board game. But you got to remember, this is 1982. Board games were all the rage. Right now it'd be an app, or right now it'd be a video game, but Trivial Pursuit, board games. And so I said, okay, this is going to make a good board game. And that was the genesis. And that's when I also started getting into my own head, started overthinking everything.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, exactly.
So what happened?
I put it away. Put it away for 2 years.
You did?
Yeah. I mean,
Because
this was...
you didn't qualify as an entrepreneur.
I didn't qualify as anything. I qualified as a waiter. That was my job. I put myself through college. After college, I was a waiter. So this was the mindset. This was what I told myself I was. And I was a waiter. So I discovered this game and I want to do it. But now I'm going, I'm just a waiter. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have the skill set. Excuse. So I said, it's too much for me. And I put it away for 2 years. But it's like when you have this idea in the shower, and by the time you dry your hair, the idea is gone. Anybody? Of course. I mean, all of us, of course.
Well, I actually dry my hair. I mean, I don't know, but I don't do that. But
yeah. I mean, there's a notion that every great idea just floats around till somebody finds it. So if you have a great idea, somebody's going to do it. Might as well be you. But in this case, at first it wasn't me. But I couldn't shake the idea. It wasn't this thing that went away, and I dried my hair using the metaphor. But for 2 years, I just couldn't shake it. So finally, it was overpowering, and it wasn't like the fear of failure. I mean, that's what people fear of failure. That wasn't it. The fear of not starting terrified me more. The fear of not trying terrified me more than actually not failing. And so that's when all these excuses, I just had to say enough. So what do I do? And I broke it down, simplest step. But it wasn't like, wasn't that difficult because the first step was a word list and I had everything. It's all in front of me. Same stuff we used in the house, with my roommates 2 years earlier. Pad of paper, dictionary, and a pencil. Went in the backyard, open it up, and you guys know the rest of the story. First word, first page, aardvark. Wrote it down. Wrote it down. I'm going, no, wait a minute. There's something very exciting here. Then I wrote a second word. But here's the thing. That first word, aardvark, 2 years. Took me 2 years to write down the word aardvark, to get started. The second word, 60 seconds.
What was it?
Abacus. But that was it. By the time I kept reading the dictionary, but it takes forever to get started. It's hard to get started with anything. A business, even watching a new TV show, for goodness sakes, it doesn't matter. It's hard. But that second minute, that second time, so much easier. So much easier.
So I have one more question, then I want to pass on to David. But so you have a great idea for a board game. You sort of shelve it for 2 years. Finally, you say, okay.
Happy hour? Anybody else?
What's that?
Anybody else?
Drinking?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Cheers. So you are.
You told me I could.
Yeah, of course you can. You're
Oh, there it is. Damien, thank you, brother.
So the thing is, you came back to the idea because it's almost like you were pregnant and you needed to give birth to this idea of Pictionary to the world. And you're gestating it for a couple of years. So, but how do you take an idea like that? And you're not an entrepreneur, you've never done a board game before. How do you actually get it such that it becomes part of mass market pop culture? What did you do?
A lot of hard work. I mean, the idea is great, but it was just a lot of hard work. I finished the word list, and then I needed partners because I know my limitations. I know what I'm good at, I know my strengths, but more importantly, I know what I'm not good at. I didn't want to run a business. I was not good at graphics. Mr. Pictionary is not very good at his own game. So I got a couple of partners, and then we had no idea what we're doing. And so it was liberating. We didn't have to worry about what convention was. We didn't have to worry about what the rules were. So to get started, our business plan was very, very detailed. It was written on the back of a cocktail napkin that my business partner took from my beer. I go, what are you doing? He writes down, make games, sell games. Brilliant.
Probably went to Harvard Business School.
Oh my goodness. It was like I was overthinking getting started and the word list. Don't overthink it. I was like, oh, okay, let's do that. So first step, make games. Anybody remember the yellow pages? I mean, the yellow pages, the 100-pound, I see a lot of nods, yeah. Back then, there was no internet. We needed to produce 1,000 boxes, so I looked up boxes in the yellow pages. I looked up pencils. I looked up printers. That was how we put the game together. 9 companies supplying parts to my apartment, and it was about like 950 square feet, which is, yeah, that included the bathroom and the bedroom. Everything was shipped there. We hand produced the first 1,000 games in my apartment. I mean, it was a blast. I mean, I tell you, it was a blast. I mean, we had no idea what we were doing. There was no limitations. There was no angst over what would happen next. We just kept going. And it was really the most fun. Those first 2 years of unknown and just seeing what happened, those were absolutely my favorite time of the whole Pictionary experience. 17 years. But it was that startup. It was just that feeling of being open and not caring. Well, yeah, we cared about the product, but not caring what would happen. It was just fabulous.
This reminds me of somebody I heard her speak through something you did, Chip, Liz Gilbert. And so she's got this book, Big Magic, which is one of my all-time favorite books. I think I've I don't know how many times I've read that book. And she has this idea, Rob, about she has an idea about ideas.
Okay.
And that ideas are out there and they kind of look for somebody to activate them, to energize them. And sometimes they just won't leave. Like they're really stubborn. They're like, you're the guy and I'm not going until you do my thing. And I think that's like what I've learned. We had Alex on, like, when was that? Like number 2 or something.
The first one, maybe. Yeah, second one, yeah.
Second one. And one of the things Alex tells me is this idea, like whenever I have an idea or whenever I think, oh, I'm thinking about somebody, I should contact them, just do it. Like right now. Just do it. Because it's this idea of discounting these things. Like that's bad. When something comes in, it's just like, well, let's activate it. And then like what you did, you just activate it and then you let it go. And it's like, you know, you did step A. Who knows if step 2 would have ever happened?
No. You know? I mean, to that point, when I said aardvark, when I wrote down the word aardvark, I still didn't have a business plan. I still didn't have a game. I still didn't have a goal. I had a dream, but it was just something to do, right? And so if I'd have thought about, and that was the overthinking, all those things, which I did, 2 years, yeah, just get started. I'm going to steal it from somebody else. I apologize. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just go. Right? It's just, you just got to take those chances. Somebody else said is like, you just jump and you'll build your wings on the way down. Jump off the cliff. You'll figure it out on the way down. I love that one. I forget who I stole it from, by the way. But it's fabulous.
That's how I've run my whole life. Like,
I know, David.
I never went to business school. When I left engineering school to become I had a guaranteed career, and I just like, this is boring. I don't want to do this. I want to be a photographer. Like there was no plan there. Like when I started AGEIST, there was no plan. It was just like, oh, let's just start this thing. It's like fun.
What's the expression? Why ruin a good idea with a plan?
So I want to know though, when did you know that you had captured the zeitgeist? That Liz Gilbert talk that Liz Gilbert has a talk on TED, and she does speak about the fact that a genius is just someone who knows how to have the genie come through him or her, and that's really how you think of it. So at what point, Rob, did you get a sense like, oh Jesus, we're on to something big here? Because 1,000 games is a lot to sell, but it doesn't say that you've, hit the pay dirt on becoming mainstream or pop culture fantasy, where they ultimately had game shows on TV about this and all kinds of other things. So when did you know you'd hit
it? I knew when Pictionary was in the mainstream, and it was having an effect on people. I was at a restaurant, and the waitress comes up and she finds out I invented Pictionary. And so she starts to cry. And I'm thinking, what the heck? This is a board game. What's going on? Well, I've told the story 100 times, and every time she was a foster child, and the family and the kids wouldn't accept her. Mom and dad tried, and there was 3 kids. And so finally she was like, wow, this is not what I signed up for. I was looking for a family. They bring out Pictionary. Well, guess what? She can draw. So mom and dad against the 3 kids. The mom and dad and the girl win, of course. Now everybody wants to be in her team. And immediately they go, okay, now we want to be on your team. And she found the family that she was looking for. And it was amazing. I mean, she tells me this, and it was like one of those moments like, wow, Pictionary is not just a game. It's like an experience. It's this thing that's changing lives. And I never invented Pictionary to change lives. It was just have fun. And so that was one of those holy shit moments. It was like, wow.
How far into it was that? How far, like after you'd started?
It was actually it was a little ways into it, because till then there was 100 moments of what the hell just happened. Yeah, I mean, there was moment after moment where, we got a big order, or JCPenney called, or I'm in France. And 2 years after I launched the game, I'm in France and in a store window there's Pictionary in French. I mean, come on. I'm standing, I'm kind of looking around thinking I'm on candid camera, or the marketing team set me up. It was like one of those, are you fucking kidding me moments? Yeah, it was like every couple of days something had happened, and I just, wow.
Wow.
We used to call it a box of paper. All this from a box of paper. I mean, it was an incredible ride. I mean, the stories, you know, the reach at, you know, the people that were employed, for goodness sakes. I mean, you know, we did over $1 billion in sales worldwide. So yeah, I mean, it was just, it was fun. I mean, come on. We can talk about all the business and all, but we just embraced it and had a ball.
So if any of you in the audience have a Pictionary story and why it means something to you, write it in the chat and share some Pictionary stories in the chat.
Or actually go to robangel.com, and somewhere in there you can reach me. I don't even know anymore. You can reach me. Email me a story. I mean, if you want to make it a little longer, if you want to, you know, really go back in your reaches, whether it's, you know, Pictionary is an emotion. This was what we learned early on. Pictionary isn't a game. It's an experience. How many remember their favorite Trivial Pursuit game? Yeah, not a lot of hands. But Pictionary was turned into emotion. It's like a rock concert. Your sights, the noise, the crowd, and your friends, and you're remembering. And that's what Pictionary became. And that's why it's resonated. That's why it's still being played 35 years later. And so we all have these stories, not because Pictionary is a great game. It's not the drawing, it's not the sketching, it's not Pictionary. It's this shared sense of love and connection and collaboration, and you're all in on the joke when your drawings suck. It's just this amazing feeling, and that's why you remember the games. You don't remember the words, really.
Well, maybe part of it is, you know, most games are about who's the smartest in the room, like Trivial Pursuit. Whereas Pictionary is about getting vulnerable, because I don't love drawing because I actually feel like I'm not a very good drawer. So there's something about actually getting vulnerable with others and then drinking while you're doing it. I think that's part of it as well, which we used to do, you know, in my high school, playing Pictionary. And yeah, not in high school, but when we were in high school at home, if that makes sense. Yeah,
exactly. And we learned early on to market Pictionary as a guessing game, not a drawing game. For the very reason you said, because, you know, unless you're an artist, you know, I don't want to draw. But if you market it as a guessing game, that's when people put the pencil in their hand. That's when they have more fun. And that was, from a marketing standpoint, that was huge change for our success.
So you have a book out on this subject called Game Changer.
I mean, this one?
Yeah, tell us about that.
Actually, David's taught me well how to promote.
Actually, that's actually I like your cover. It's nice.
You know, speaking of overthinking it. Thank you, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm really like covered it. Yeah, I'm really pleased with it. So, you know, we spent tons of money and time on graphic artists and overthought it, and like 2 months later, nothing's happening. So I went to the site 99 Designs. It was like I got to see people shaking their head. I put out the brief. It didn't cost that much. I get 106 submissions, and this was one of them. I mean, it was like, I didn't even think they'll overthink the cover. As you'll notice, there's an aardvark on it. And, you know, my signature also has an aardvark.
So, but what do you write about? What's the book about?
It's about my journey. It's about the journey with Pictionary. It was, you know, the blueprint of physically what we did, of how we put the games together, and how we marketed, how we sold it, how we licensed it, we scaled it, and then we were the biggest brand in the world for 10 years, and the biggest board game in the world for 10 years. But it's also, you know, my journey, you know, when we were present, when we surrendered, when we just were in the moment. And so the book is, you know, turned into a kind of like my life's journey, not just Pictionary's journey. I realized
So
by the
you've
time
been on
I
a
was done.
spiritual journey. You've been on a
Yeah.
bit of a spiritual journey this past, tell us about that.
Well, that's why the book took 6 years to finish, because I wrote it as something for my kids. And so they knew what Dad did. But every time I wrote a version, my spiritual journey had started about the same time as the book. And I had changed every year. There was growth. So by the time I'm done with that manuscript, let's do another one. So that's why I kept going. But the spiritual journey has been more enlightening, more self-centered, and it's just been an amazing thing. I won't discount the Pictionary journey, of course. It was just a different time. This spiritual journey has been amazing for personal growth. And it's helped me understand what happened during Pictionary, looking back, because it was such a big part of my life for 20 years. I was trying to process what had happened. Was it luck? Was it really me? Why did the game resonate? I mean, what I just said about Pictionary, when it was happening, I didn't know that. It was just a game. It was just a game. And so now that I started the book and this spiritual journey, basically it's just, journey to self. It's not a spiritual journey. I'm not looking for spirits or anything. I'm just looking to find out who I am and what I'm all about. And that's what the last 7-8 years have been about. And that's been, this has been pretty cool.
You're verklempt. You're verklempt.
I'm not in a sad way. It's just when I just think about all the people I've come in contact over the last 7 or 8 years and what's happened, and how comfortable I am with myself in these spots that I wasn't, or just feeling better about life and people. And it's been amazing. And I've had help, and I've had, spirit guides, as I call them, all along the way. Yeah, been amazing. And, one of the catalysts is kind of the way I'm dressed right now.
Can we?
I don't usually look like this, but I feel very comfortable like this.
Where are you? I understand there's a bit of a DIY Burning Man happening.
Yes. It's like physically, obviously, Burning Man's not happening. So some friends, just a very small group of friends, we're in San Diego, and we're just going to have our own little mini burn. And
you're in the midst of that right now.
Clearly, yeah. So, but the outfits, if you will, it's all part of it. It's just self-expression. It's feeling good about yourself. And actually, my first burn in 2013 was a big catalyst for my journey. It kind of jump-started it all. I was always looking. I mean, anybody feel like I was? I knew something was wrong, not wrong, off, and I needed something more. I needed something different. I just needed something. I don't know. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't articulate it, that's for sure. And so I just started a journey, which is for me just wandering until things showed up, and Burning Man happened to be one of them.
What's one of your most poignant or powerful memories from any of your Burning Man experiences? That was a serendipitous kind of experience that said, oh my God, now I see something I hadn't seen before.
It was my first burn, and we're on one of the art cars, and the music's blaring, and it's I'm overwhelmed. I'm completely overwhelmed by this entire experience.
Let's turn that off.
Hello, Anita. Okay. I feel like I'm on the art car. So I'm on the art car. And I'm completely overwhelmed. And I'm usually a joiner. You know, after the first few minutes you've seen me, I like to get in the mix. I like to get in the middle, but I was overwhelmed. I'm like, I'm not by anything or anyone, just the whole experience. This is like day 5, and I don't know if I'm going to survive this thing. And this guy standing next to me taps me on the shoulder. Taps me on the shoulder. And in this thick Russian accent, he kind of looks at me, this almost fatherly, because he could tell I was out of my element. And he says, I think you need this. And he takes a chain off of his neck, a medallion off his neck, and he puts it around me, gives me a little kiss on the cheek and a hug, and walks off. I never saw him again. I never knew what it was about in that moment, but I was overwhelmed. And I don't have it with me today, but it's one of my most prized possessions. It was this act of giving, this act of love, this act of just sharing and seeing somebody needed. Something. And without thought, without wanting something in return, he was there when I needed him. And that's always been one of my favorite memories of Burning Man. It's always stuck with me.
I would like to share. Are you, Rob, are you open to me sharing one as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, so, and in the chat, feel free to share a Burning Man experience if you've ever had one. And in about 5 minutes, we will open it up for Laura to ask questions. So feel free to ask some questions in the chat. So a story that's really similar to yours, Rob. My first Burning Man experience was 21 years ago, and I had a relationship that was ending, and I felt a bit lost. And I had a bike, and I went, and I was dressed like Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. I had this flowing gown that was sort of, as I'm riding my bike through the deep playa, and I was listening to Moby, and which is classic music for Burning Man, especially back in 1999. All of a sudden, a guy comes up next to me on my bike, and I was like slithering like a snake through the deep playa with my bike, with the, my like stuff flowing behind me, my clothes, and flowing in the wind. And this guy just looks at me, and I have my Walkman on. This is like back in the Walkman era. And he has his Walkman on, and we're clearly listening to our own music. And for the next 30 minutes, we slithered through the deep playa, basically riding together with our own music, our own thing going on. And then at some point, he just waved at me, and he left. And one of the 10 principles of Burning Man is immediacy. Immediacy means being in the moment. It means to actually not be in your head about the future or the past, and to be in immediacy is about, frankly, it's a form of intimacy with life and with time. And in that moment, I had immediacy. I had this sense that there was nothing else important in the world other than the fact that there's another human who I seemed to be in some kind of synchronized flow with. And it felt really nice because I was in a relationship that was ending, and I felt very out of flow in that. So tell your stories about Burning Man in the chat. It is Burning Man time of year. For those of you who have no idea what we're talking about with Burning Man, like what rock have you been living under for the last 30 years? But Burning Man is a fascinating experience. And David, when are we going to get you out there?
It's really hot right now, so I think I'm going to have to do that.
David?
I feel like an Apple stat here. Like I'm not really. It's never was never on my menu of like things to do.
Because.
I don't know. It's just like, wow, it's like dirt and a lot of drugs and like naked people and orgy tents and like.
And your problem is?
I don't know.
Sorry.
This is a great conversation. because you're right. There is that part of Burning Man. And then there's actually family camp, 5,000 people in families who are there to teach their kids about utopian lifestyles and the value of art and a community and intentional community. So it is, Burning Man there's a lot of mythology about what happens at Burning Man. The first time I ever went to Burning Man, I was sober the whole time, 5 days, no alcohol, no drugs, nothing. And the next time I partook. Thank you. The man, Mr. Pictionary, knows his dictionary. So yeah,
I also know by partaking.
How about Parcheesi? No Parcheesi. Okay. So yeah, I think that you can have the experience at Burning Man that you want to have. I'm an early to bed kind of person generally. And there are times at Burning Man, I'd come home and by 9:30 or 10 o'clock, I'd be in bed because I actually loved sunrise at Burning Man.
That's magic.
That is sunrise because I'd be often, so yes, I did stay up all night long many times, but I liked getting up at 5:30 or 6 in the morning. And the music has definitely died down by that point. And you're sort of going out in the playa, and then seeing people who have been up all night. But to see the sunrise in that moment with all the art there and the just the collective effervescence. Emil Durkheim's a sociologist who wrote about religious pilgrimages 110 years ago, and he invented the phrase collective effervescence.
I love it.
If you were at an experience, a festival or any kind of experience where people are letting down their guard and in essence, they are allowing their ego to dissolve, and in its place comes communal joy, that is collective effervescence. And that's when the magic of being on this earth, to me, is most noticeable. And you don't have to be in an orgy. You don't have to be naked. You don't have to be on drugs.
No, Chip. I mean, David, I was giving you a little grief there. But no, absolutely true. Burning Man is about being free of what's holding you back. And we're not talking about the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. We're talking about just self-expression, who you want to be, what you want to wear, what you want to do. And you meet similar, like-minded people. I've met my tribe at Burning Man. I've met some of my best friends at Burning Man. And it's not just because we have the things we just talked about as connection. It's just willingness and wanting to be open to new experiences and to life. It's not just a party. Ah, geez.
There you go.
Hey! I have no idea who that was, man.
Let's open it up to Laura. Yeah, you know what? That was just a calling. That was a sign from the heavens that it's time for our audience to ask questions.
Might be time for a little more. A
little more of that. Yeah.
I mean, we've only got 10 more minutes. We
got 20, but that's okay. No one's counting.
Whatever.
Rob, thank you. So let's go for it.
Yeah.
Laura.
I was going to say, I thought that was a call from God, checking in on you.
He said hello.
Yeah, just say hello. You're doing the right thing. So you shared just about being open, and that's actually an acronym for you. Can you share with us what that means?
Yeah, it's pretty much how I've lived my life, being open. So the acronym, is that, opportunity. So the world is filled, it's opportunity. The world is filled with opportunity. And P is possibilities, right? It's the no judgment. That's the thing about it. And the energy, the E is the energy. When you feel something great's going to happen, that's when you got to do the N, which is take action. So really it just comes down to being curious. Because life's being about curious. This is getting back to the aardvark. Because I didn't know what was going to happen when I wrote a word down. I was just curious, see what would happen. So it's being curious. It's not being judgmental, because you never know until you let something in, if you're going to like it or not. You don't have to like it, by the way. It doesn't have to be spectacular. But when you know it's not, then fine, you get rid of it. But then you also have to participate. That's part of being open, is you have to get involved. And it could be for a minute. It could be for a week, a year, a lifetime. But you've got to go down all these roads. You've got to be open to trying new things. And once you do, once I've done it, I mean, I've been doing it my whole life. That's how Pictionary happened. That's how I wound up at Burning Man. I mean, I was asked to go to Burning Man for 10 years. And whatever reason, I said no, whatever excuses I gave. I said no. And then I met this couple in May of 2013, and they said, well, we're going to go to Burning Man. Switch was flipped, and my intuition, you know, the universe says, that's what you're supposed to go with. And that's, I said, hey, can I go with you guys? They said, sure. Openness, and I went with them, and that's what changed my life. If I'd have gone 5 years earlier, it may not have been the same experience. Doesn't matter. So it's open arms, open heart, and an open mind.
That's beautiful. So we have a question here from Amir. Actually, we have a couple of questions from Amir. In your opinion, and this is going back to collective effervescence that Chip was talking about, what do you think keeps us from having collective effervescence in our daily lives?
I have something a sommelier, right? I think we all know what doesn't serve us more than we know what does. It's hard to pull those little nuggets out. And so by eliminating the things that don't serve us, that get in the way, that are negative, that take up our time, I think that's the problem. It's like a sommelier. So, you know, he can look at smell a glass of wine. He can tell exactly what it is in 90 seconds from anywhere in the world. What he does, he goes, oh, it's not a Cabernet, eliminates it. Not a Syrah, eliminate. Old, just by elimination, you get to what it is, who you are, and what your tribe is. And that's when you collectively start growing. That's when you find your tribe. It's all about tribe. And that's when you just grow. That's when my life changed on all that.
So I've got, the group is asking me, we did the acronym of OPEN. We covered O, we covered P, but we didn't finish the E and M. So we get opportunity, possibilities. What is the E and the M in OPEN?
I might have skipped over that. E is for energy. That's your intuition. That's when whatever is happening, whoever is happening, you just kind of get this visceral response that you're going to put time into it, whatever that is. Well, you know, Pictionary, the energy was, oh, I'm going to try this. So whatever that energy is, and the N is now. That's the take action part, because the first three parts don't really matter. It's like walking out of the shower. You've got to take action. You have to jump. That's the key to everything. And it's this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's, you've got to take action, but it doesn't have to be action for a lifetime. I mean, that's, I think, part of the thing is that we start looking so far in the future, well, we forget about all the stuff that's happening now. So just take a couple of steps, take action, see what happens.
So how many ideas did you have and pursue that didn't work out?
Let's see. I was going to be the vacuum cleaner salesman of the century. Didn't work out. I was going to sell real estate. I was terrible. I wanted to do a pizza franchise, but the gentleman wouldn't give it up, so I did not do that. So I've always had these ideas to do, but honestly, Pictionary was my first or my second entrepreneurial endeavor that I felt strongly enough to start, to try. So it was that thinking of all these different things, because I've always been a dreamer, a schemer. I wasn't taking action. So everything I talk about, by the way, is what I've learned, not what I knew. This was like, I had no idea when it was going on that this was happening. But now that I look back and now that I'm aware, I can take action quicker than certainly when I was 22.
You created a second board game, correct? Is that
I
right?
did.
What was that? What was that experience like? I'm sorry to step in there, Laura, but
Yeah. It, you know, what's funny about this whole thing? It was called Think Block. So it was based on the Rorschach test. And it was 1996 or 7, I believe, when I came up with that idea. And it's back in my consciousness again. And so it was one of those ideas that I felt strongly enough about to do. And it became a board game. So it was my second game, and it did really well. Not Pictionary well, but it was still fun. The process was amazing. The creative process again. Those first 2 years of Pictionary, the first couple of years of ThinkPlot were great. I mean, that was I don't know, even though we knew what we were doing, we still treated it as a new venture.
So another question came in. What projects are you working on now?
The book. Yeah, no, the book. And now I want to actually, kind of like the gentleman, that first Burning Man, when he put the necklace on my neck because he wanted nothing in return. That was the whole point of it, right? Give it, walk away. And so that's what's jazzing me up right now, is talking to people and giving what I know, talking about what I've learned and sharing. And this is fun. I mean, Burning Man and tequila notwithstanding, this is a lot of fun. I'm enjoying this. And if I've had it, even a little influence, great. If not, that's okay too. I'm just telling my story and I'm having a ball doing it.
That wisdom, that daily wisdom. So we talked the other day about the book and the launch, and you generously offered to donate a book for every book purchased. Do you want to talk about how we might purchase that book and who are you donating to?
Yeah, it's, where's the book? So if you go, there you go. If you go to robangel.com, and somewhere in the middle, you can order an autographed book, but with every purchase that you make, I'm going to send you your book, but we're going to send it to college kids that are underprivileged, underserved, and we're going to get them the book. And it's a 2-for-1, and it's just a fabulous thing. It's this great story that will resonate with the young people. And I like giving the book away more than I like selling it, quite frankly.
Great. So this year, COVID being on shutdown, how's that changed life for you, and how's that impacted you? What's your new normal?
Yeah, I hate that term because I've never been or had a normal.
So you're new abnormal.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
There you go. You may have figured out by now, I tend to live in the moment. So when I start getting comfortable, I move and I change. And so the new normal is, one, I just take things as they happen. But I think the new normal, as one, slowed me down. I mean, I was always on a plane, I was always traveling, I was always having fun. But now I'm kind of enjoying slowing down and having, these talks and just breathing more. I mean, that's been more for me. And so this is allowing me to do these talks and to sell the book and to do all these fun things. And I don't know if I'm going to jump on as many planes as the past. I think my new normal is a little calmer, a little less frenetic. And I'm eating well too. I mean, I've never had this many home cooked meals, I think, since my mom.
Yeah.
This is great. Yeah. I understand. I don't want to, I know there's a lot of problems and there's a lot of, bad things happen to a lot of people. Don't want to discount that.
So we just had another question from Consuelo. What were you like as a kid at like 7, 10 years old? That's a great question.
I've never been asked that. Depends who you ask. I was always, I think the term was rambunctious. Yeah, I was, 5 years old having snowball fights into the past dark. Mom and dad had to come find me. Yeah, I was just precocious. I would walk up to anybody and ask them apparently if they had gum. I don't know why I was fascinated with gum, but I was always searching. Not searching. I was always just having fun, engaging, conversation, as much as you can as a 7-year-old. Yeah, it was fun.
How did you? Do you mind if I ask you a question, Laura? So you were a waiter, and you were, your history didn't say, oh man, this guy's gonna be destined for success, and his board game is gonna be the most popular board game in the world for 10 years in a row. How did you handle success? And what came with success, both positively and negatively?
That question has vexed me for a while.
Uh-oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, I figured it out, I think. Is that I did not articulate success as money or even creating a game. I didn't even know what it looked like. But as they say, when it happened, I would know it. And so at an early age, I knew I'd be a success. I really did deep down. And I didn't know if it was a game or a nonprofit or whatever. And so when the Pictionary royalty money started coming in and the accolades started coming in, I was as confused as anybody else. It was like, now what? So I went really slow. I'm lucky I surround myself with some good people, but it was trying to articulate my own vision of success was hard. It was unfathomable. I couldn't do it. And so when all this stuff happened, and so I really appreciated what had happened, and I wasn't going to fuck it up. And so I knew this was my shot. So I was very conservative in my investing. I didn't go crazy or my spending, because if I don't get another shot, I don't want to go back to work. That was my fear. I mean, I'd love to give you some very esoteric answer. I didn't want to go back to work. So I saved my money, and that's why I get to hang out. In my personal life, clearly I'm a bit of a crazy guy, but so yeah. And the upside has been phenomenal. I mean, the cliche but true. I got to take care of my parents and the family and give back. And I mean, I'm just blessed beyond belief to be able to do that. And the downside, it happens, but I won't let it in. I won't let it in. There's moments, of course, but I try not to buy in. Not successful all the time, of course, but the more upbeat I can be, the more I can be authentic, the more I can be me, the happier I am, and the more successful I am. It's almost that simple.
Laura, David?
Well, that's it. We don't have any more questions. We did get a lot of feedback in the chat box on people coming together doing Pictionary for family holidays for a number of years. And as those chats were going through, I thought, oh yeah, my family, every Christmas, I think there were about 30 of us. We had a theme every Christmas holiday, and got dressed up for whatever that theme was. And we had like professional Pictionary. The stand was up. I mean, they were dedicated people to the game. So you've had an impact well beyond you'll ever know. Yeah.
As long as everybody's having fun.
That's what it is.
I mean, everything aside, life is about fun. Life is about enjoyment. Life is about, you know, being who and what you want to be. Past that, I shrug my shoulders. Yeah, I mean, you know, all you can be is you.
Yeah. Right. We had a great recommendation. Tara Packer said, let's do Zoom Pictionary. That's brilliant.
Like I said earlier, you don't want me on your team.
David, we'll let you sum up.
You know, I just have to say, every time I interact with Rob, it's really special. And he's like one of these guys is like, I mean, I don't know, when I met him like 6 months ago, and it's like, he's been my friend my whole life. And I really value that. You're a really special guy, Rob.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody for joining us tonight. Rob, I'll look forward to seeing you on the playa and getting dusty with you.
Dusty hug, brother.
Yeah, exactly. When we can hug again.
Oh, yeah.
We will be back here in 2 weeks. We will tell you in the next week or so some clues on who our next guest is going to be. Just know that we have the most interesting people in the world, because we all deserve a happy hour, and in my case, a Guinness. I'm going to go take a bath right now and read the book that I'm falling in love with right now. I highly recommend it to everybody. It's called Caste, C-A-S-T-E, by Isabel Wilkerson. It's the book of 2020. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Rob.
Rob, thanks so much.
Thank you.